Funny.
That was funny. I had a bit of a chuckle about that. Okay, let me find my lesson plan for today. Okay, so today we're going to be having a look at the more performative aspects of debate and public speaking. Let me, hiccups. Let me get a whiteboard started. So the way that we've been running this class is that teacher Brendan's been teaching you uh, what to write and how to structure your writing so that you can present as well as possible. But what I'll be focusing on today, sorry, I can't write and type. So yeah, today we're going to be looking at the performative aspects of debate and public speaking. So these aspects include body language, so things like posture, your eye contact, your hand gestures, and your facial expression. So these things are all very important when we're communicating, and that doesn't matter whether it's in a debate or in a public speech, or even if you're just having a conversation with some friends or some family. We're also going to be looking at our vocal modulation, so what we do with our voice. I'll be teaching you about things like the pitch or the tone of your voice, about volume, and about pacing. Okay. Okay, so these are the topics we'll be covering today: body language, vocal modulation, and I'll be teaching you some basic rhetorical or persuasive devices that you can use, or little tricks that you can use to help you get the audience onto your side. Okay. So, something that I find really interesting is that when we communicate or when we talk to somebody, did you know that the words that you say only account for about 7% of your overall message? The other 93% of what you're saying is all communicated through your body language and your vocal modulation. So, what your body's doing and how your voice is saying what you're saying. So we'll start with some body language first up. Okay, so with our posture, the first thing that I want to point out to you, or a little exercise, a little game that I'd like to play. Just going to turn off my background for a moment. Mario can have a rest. Okay, so if you have a look at, I know all you can really see right now is, actually stop share and spotlight. Okay, so if you see the way that I'm sitting up right now as I'm talking to you, what do you think this body language suggests? I'm sitting up nice and straight, I've got my shoulders back, I've got my chest open, and I'm looking at the camera and I'm talking to you. What do you think this body language is telling you about how I'm communicating? Who wants to have a guess? Susan, what do you think?
I think it might hint that you're confident
Very
and you know
good.
what you say, you know what.
Sorry, Susan, I think I cut you off there. You still had something else to say? Nope.
No, I
Oh,
finished.
no worries. Well, Susan was very correct there. So when you see somebody talking and they're looking straight ahead or they're looking at you, open chest, standing up or sitting up nice and tall. So this is a very good way to demonstrate that you are confident in what you're saying, you believe in yourself. Very good. It's also actually Uyen has something she'd like to add. What else do you think, Uyen, about how I'm sitting? What does this say?
Yeah, I see your body looks confident and brave yourself being a teacher, and you feel great in your body.
Very good. I'm feeling confident in myself, confident in my body, confident in what I've got to say. Very good. The other the other thing about this open sort of posture is actually trustworthiness. So a little story or a little fact that I told in this morning's class is that when so in the animal kingdoms, let's take lions, or actually no, dogs, for example. We'll use dogs. So if you see a dog and your pet dog, for example, if you see him, say, lying on his back and his tummy and his chest are exposed, what that means from the dog is that it trusts you because the chest and the tummy here, this is where all your important organs and all the important parts of your body are: your heart, your lungs, your stomach, all of that sort of stuff. And if I didn't trust you, or if I thought you were dangerous, for example, then I wouldn't have it open because I'm at risk of being attacked. At least that's how dogs do it. But if you see, but yeah, so as well as being trustworthy, it also means that they are confident because they're not worried about getting attacked because they can defend themselves or, yeah. So in humans, open body language means yes, you're confident. It also means you're open and you're trustworthy and you want to connect with people. But conversely, even if you're standing up well, if you've got, say, your hands in front of your chest or hands sitting on your tummy like that, or you're just hunched over trying to make yourself look small and hide this, that can let everybody know that you're not confident, you're trying to hide away. Maybe you don't believe in what you're saying. So your audience is going to have a very tough time in trusting what you say. So that's number one, sitting up nice and straight, open chest, and that's going to send the message that you are open to communication and that you're open to forming a relationship with your audience. You want them to feel close to you. Yes, Uyen.
Is it that mean when you cross your hand like this and you trying to hide the body, it means you shake? Is it you scared and shy?
Yes. So it can mean that you're scared or shy. Very good. It can also mean that you don't believe, so in our human sense, I'm talking about now. If you're closing off, that means that maybe you're trying to hide something or you're not telling the truth. So always make sure to maintain an open posture, open body language in a debate or a public speech. It makes you a lot more trustworthy. Now, let me just put my phone on charge before it dies. It's giving me my internet right now. So my other type of posture is, what do you think? What sort of message do you think I'm sending here? So if I don't mind the mess, we've just got a whole bunch of new furniture. We're moving the house around. But if I'm giving a speech, or say I'm giving a lesson, and I'm just sitting here like this, you know, resting my head in my hand, I'm all slouched over the couch, you know, kind of looking off, and yeah. What sort of message do you think this is sending using my body language? Mary, what do you think?
In my opinion, I think you are sending the message to us that you're so tired.
I could be tired. I could be tired. That could be one idea. Very good. Aki, what do you think?
I think the message you sent to us is that you are be boring.
Very good. Look bored, interested, not looking at the camera. Yeah, so we're going to talk about body language today, and you know, we're going to do your posture, and yeah, very good. I look like I don't care. Very good. So that is the difference. Although, did you notice that when I was talking both times, my voice stayed the same? My voice didn't when I was laying down, and it stayed the same when I was sitting up. So just your body, not even the words you say, not even how you say them, just your body language can give off a message you may not even be aware about. So we definitely need to make sure, again, that we're always sitting up, looking interested. Uyen, do you have a question or a comment you'd like to make?
Yes, that you make the body language like this, that means you're a bit lazy, or you want to relax like my dad. Always like my dad sitting like this. He's a bit annoying.
Very good. Very good. So yes, I can look like I'm not interested if I'm sitting there like that. If you're sitting back like that as well, you can look a bit too relaxed, especially in a debate or a public speech situation. So in your everyday life, it's still very good to be aware of what your body is telling everybody. But for today, I'm just specifically talking about like public speeches and debates. But yeah, so you always want to look interested in what you're saying and who you're saying it to. May, do you have a question or a comment?
In my opinion, when you make the body language, I think it tells us that you are not happy and you just want to relax after a long, hard working day. You don't want to teach. Yeah.
Very good. I look like I just want to kick back and relax. I look like I don't care about what I should be focusing on. Very good, May. Very good. I will take these last two and then we'll move on to our next topic. Susan, do you have a question or a comment? Nope, Susan disappeared. Win, do you have a question or a comment?
Oh, I don't have any.
I just want to answer the question you asked.
Yeah, what's your answer?
I think that you just see like this class was boring and you were strict.
Very good. Very good. My body language made me look like I was bored with the class. Very good. Of course, I'm not. I was just obviously doing that to show you the difference between what good body language is and what a bad body language can be. So very good, guys. Those were some terrific answers. Now, did that close? I did not close that. Okay. So the next thing we'll move on to, we'll talk about facial expressions. Let me just bring the whiteboard back. Okay. So let me just finish my So that should be head on hand.
Nhớ có.
Okay, good. So our next topic, eye contact. Now, eye contact, this one's going to be nice and easy. So eye contact is a great tool to use to build trust with people. So I'm going to say a couple of things, just a couple of random sentences. I want you to tell me which one you think I'm telling the truth about and which one you think I'm lying about. And you're going to use eye contact to guess your correct answer. So the first one, actually, yeah, we will play one round of 2 truths and 1 lie. So I'll say 3 things. 2 of them are true. 1 of them is a lie. You have to guess what the lie is. Okay. I've been a ballroom dancer for 30 years. That's number 1. Number 2, I'm a massive fan of professional wrestling. I love watching the WWE. And number 3, I really like painting. I really enjoy painting pictures. So which one do you think was the which one do you think was the lie? Aki,
I think it's the third one.
you think it's the third one? So you think me liking to paint pictures was the lie, okay? May, what do you think?
I also think it's the third one.
Very good. You think it's the third one as well. I'm not giving you the answer yet. I want to hear from a few more people first, and then I'll tell you all together. Thomas, which one do you think was the lie?
The third one was a lie. Your face was looking up and made me laugh so hard.
So you think the third one as well. Uyen, which one do you think?
I think it's the first one.
You think it's the first one. Okay. Win, Which one do you think?
What one? What one? I think it was the third one.
Third one. Okay, thank you. Bao An, which one do you think was the lie?
I think the first one.
The first one. Okay. So very good guesses, guys. The answer is number 3 was the lie. I have, in fact, been a ballroom dancer for 30 years now. Started when I was 4 years old. I'm 34 now. And number 2, I am a massive wrestling fan. You can ask Miss Duck when I was renting a room from her. She used to hear my wrestling videos being played all over the house because I'd be watching them all the time. But no, I do not enjoy painting pictures myself. I'm a terrible artist. And so very well done to those of you that guessed that right.
Good
The clue.
Good that I know that you don't like painting.
I like looking at art. Don't get me wrong. I like looking at art other people have created, but I'm just not very good at doing it myself, so I don't enjoy it.
So
But
what's your hobby?
so my hobby, I suppose, is reading books. I love reading books.
Me neither. I like reading books, but I like listening to music is good because I usually sing a song myself. I really enjoy it. I also hear
fantastic.
Japanese song.
Nice. I like a bit of Japanese music as well. My favorite is Baby Metal. I love that band.
I
But yeah.
love reading too. I have a lot of books. This is one of my bookshelf.
Wow, that is a very impressive collection there, Mary.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back on topic, guys. So very good to those of you that guessed number 3. And as I said, your key to guessing the answer was in my eyes. So when I told you about the ballroom dancing and that I love to watch professional wrestling, I was looking right at the camera so you could see into my eyes. But when I told you that I liked to paint pictures and do art, I was looking off to the side a little bit. I wasn't making eye contact. So that is a very important thing for your public speaking, because eye contact, when you're just talking one-on-one to people, have you ever spoken to somebody and you see their eyes are twitching a lot, so they'll look away and look up, and when they're thinking of things and their eyes, they're not looking at you. That is a general sign that somebody does not believe in what they're saying, or that they're deliberately being dishonest with you. So to use eye contact in a public speech or a debate, the best little tip is, if you imagine the audience is in front of you, break the audience up into like little chunks. So say you've got, 60 people in the audience. So I'm going to imagine there's 10 here, 10 there, 10 here, 10 there, 10 there, and 10 there. So I've got my 6 groups of 10. And just throughout my speech, what I will do is I'll just pick one block of 10 at random, and I'll look at them while I'm speaking a couple of sentences. I don't want to focus on one person. I want to look at the group. It's a little psychological trick that if you look at the group, each person in that group will actually think, he's looking at me right now. So you'll have a chance to connect with your audience just with a simple bit of eye contact. And then after a few sentences or a few seconds, you just swap to a different group and look at them for a while. And then, you change to that group. And then throughout your speech, the entire audience will have believed that you've made eye contact with them. And that will help you a lot in gaining trust. Okay. Our next topic is hand gestures. Now, hand gestures and facial expressions, these two are probably the hardest part of checking your body language. Okay, so the two tips I'll give you about hand gestures, and this comes down to practice, is you want to make them look natural. So what that means is that if I'm talking to you right now and I just start doing some random hand gestures, I'm just talking to you about hand gestures and I'm just throwing a couple of random hand gestures in there. It doesn't look natural. Yeah, so it doesn't yeah, so it doesn't look natural and it can actually take away from the speech. So you noticed before when we were doing the examples of body language, how much, just you seeing me slumping over the couch, resting on there, and the face looked like I was a million miles away. It really takes away from what you're trying to say to people. So that's why natural hand gestures are so important. So when we say natural, we just mean, don't try and force it in there because you need that hand gesture to make the point, or, use the hand gestures, one, when it feels right, and two, make sure they fit with what you're talking about. So if I'm talking about, so if, for example, if I'm talking about how big my new TV is, so let's say the TV is like huge, then I wouldn't use a hand gesture that's like, oh, I bought a TV and it was so big. Like, why am I doing the number 3 to tell you that the television is so big? If anything, I should be using a gesture like that, going, it's so big. That's a more natural fitting gesture for what I'm talking about. Does that make sense? Wait, ba, 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 ba. Okay, and the other one is use a lot of open-handed gestures. So open-handed gestures quite literally are just things you can do with your hands where your palms are open. And we want to use a lot of those because those gestures are very inviting to people. So if you meet somebody new and you go to shake their hand, you don't give them a fist like that. You give them an open hand, to trying to make sure the camera angle works here, but you give them the open hand to shake. It's a very welcoming gesture. So, you can do gestures like if you need to point at something that's on a screen behind you, you can open-handed gesture to the screen, just things like that. It's a very trustworthy, welcoming gesture to use. So try and keep your hands open as much as is practical. And I've got a whole bunch of great resources to send you guys a bit later today about all of this stuff, so you can read up on it and learn a bit more about it. All right, next one is facial expressions. So our facial expressions, again, really it's just making them look natural. So the difference, so for example, take a real smile versus a fake smile. So I'll show you a real smile and a fake smile, and I'll explain the difference. So if somebody tells me something and, it makes me happy, maybe something good's happened to them, something good's happened to us, and I'm going to smile, the biggest way you can tell if it's real or not is to look around the eyes. So if you can see someone get what we call crow's feet, it's because the shape of the wrinkles look like crow's feet, you can tell it's a legitimate smile because they're using their eyes. So like that. See how it crinkles up here a little bit? That's a legitimate smile because it's using the whole face. But if I'm going to fake a smile, for example, I might not think to include the whole face. So my fake smile might look something like, yeah. See how it's just like the bottom of the face here, but it's not like I'm not making the eyes smile. It's just not a lot happening there. So it's important to learn to use your spotlight. So yeah, it's very important to, what am I trying to say? It's very important to make your facial expressions look natural because again, much like if someone's got bad posture, they're not making eye contact, the hand gestures are all over the place, facial expressions are fake. It can make you look dishonest. It can make you look like you're trying to hide something. It can make you look again like you just don't care because if I'm not, really smiling with the whole face and it's just, look at the eyes, they still look, I don't care. Or maybe I'm sad or something. So when you practice your facial expressions, practice the whole face. Make sure that you include the whole face in your expressions. Uyen, do you have a question?
Does that mean is when we talk to someone else, like we look like we're grumpy, like I'm not a bit well, or look like I feel bored or lazy, sad, frowning, like that?
Well, I mean, so I've been trying to learn and understand body language now for probably a couple of years now. It really helped me with teaching people to dance. It also helped me understand people when I talk to them. And actually, before I started learning, I never noticed or really picked up on these things. I was a bit clueless. But ever since I started learning how to, read and understand and use body language, yeah, like I've been able to notice, when people are, legitimately happy or legitimately sad or upset, or whether they are, just trying to fake it for some reason. So yeah, learning about body language and facial expressions, it really can help you a lot. Yeah, I would say it's almost like an extra little cheat code. When you play video games and sometimes you put in a little cheat code and you might restore your health or pass a mission or something, whatever. Understanding body language is like a cheat code for communication because you can understand the other 93% of the message they're delivering rather than just relying on the words that they say. And it's the same thing it's the same thing when you're giving a debate or you're giving a speech. People will look at your body language and I suppose they will assume things about you. So, if you look happy and you've got the good posture, they go, oh, very happy, very confident, really good. I'm really listening. I'm interested. So yeah, use your body language, learn about it and use it. Okay, let's have a little talk about vocal modulation. Okay, so like we said before, vocal modulation, yes, if you do need to step out for a moment, go to the bathroom or anything, you can feel free. So vocal modulation is how we say what we say. So for example, if I was to say, so I'll give you, and this time you're just focusing on my voice. Don't worry about my facial expressions. So I'm going to say the same thing twice with two different tones of voice or two different modulations, and I want you to tell me the difference between them. I'm so happy for you. That's fantastic news. And number two, I'm really happy for you. That's great news. What do you think the difference was between those two, based on my voice? So, I'm so happy for you. That's fantastic. Or, yeah, I'm really happy for you. That's fantastic. What do you think the difference is? Susan?
I think the difference is when your tone is high, when you speak in an excited way, it will show that you're genuine. Like you really think it's fantastic and it's wonderful and congratulations.
Perfect answer. So, that first one, I sounded actually excited for the person. You know, that's fantastic. That's great. But on the second one, I sounded like I couldn't really care less and like I'm just saying, yeah, congratulations. That's great news. So your tone of voice can be another identifier for how somebody's feeling or if they're being authentic or real or not when they tell you something. So the three main tools that we have to control our vocal modulation, we've got pitch or tone. So pitch is, again, how high or how low the tone of your voice goes. So the best example that I can give for that is, so when we write a question down on a piece of paper, people can often tell that or people can always tell that it's a question because it's got the question mark at the end. But when we're speaking, sometimes things we mean to ask as questions are not obvious questions. So we use other things like the tone of voice to pick up on that. So for example, if I'm going to ask you a question, you'll notice my voice is going to go up at the end. So I'll say, are you ready to go to the shops? So you heard that towards the end. Are you ready to go to the shops? That pick up in the tone suggests that I'm asking a question because that raised tone can sometimes mean I'm unsure. But if I'm going to answer that question, you'll notice that the tone of my voice will dip down at the end. So I'll say, yes, I'm ready to go to the shops. So you heard that gradual, yes, I'm ready to go to the shops towards the end of the sentence. So we can use our pitch or our tone to ask or answer questions. We can also use it to display emotion. Like with the example I gave before, the high-pitched, excited congratulations versus the low-pitched congratulations. So it's used to ask or answer question, used to display emotion. Our next vocal modulation technique is actually no. Yeah, it's volume. So volume can be used to well, it can be used again to display emotions, because when you're sad, sometimes you talk a bit quieter when you're feeling upset and you're here. Sometimes when you're very happy and excited, again, you might, yeah, go really loud and scream or just raise your voice a bit. When you're angry, you'll raise your voice, but not scream. Sometimes you do scream. So yeah, it's really a combination of all of these elements that will display an emotion fully. But volume, you can use it. So what I used to think when I was younger, I've learned better now, is that I thought that the people that were in control or the people that were in charge would just yell and raise their voices to, go over there and do that. Or, yeah, yeah, I need you over there. Why aren't you doing what I told you to do? That sort of stuff. But I recently learned that that's actually people that like scream like that, they're actually not in control and they're trying to get control back. So it's actually better. So yeah, it's okay to raise your voice if you're not screaming or like getting angry when you're communicating. So, sometimes I might need to raise my voice so that the people at the back of the room can hear me properly. Or I might want to emphasize a certain point that I'm trying to make. So I'll talk that a bit louder. But mainly, you want to not so quiet that you're whispering, but you really want to keep your volume under control. So by doing that, it will actually make people almost lean in to make sure that they hear what you say. So yeah, so when you're giving a speech or participating in a debate, definitely try and keep your volume on the lower end without whispering. Because then again, people are going to lean in, they're going to listen to what you're saying. And yeah, like you're actually stand a better chance of them hearing and understanding you if you're talking quietly than if you're yelling and screaming. So if you're yelling and screaming, people just go, oh, I don't want to hear that. So yeah, so keep your volume under control. And finally, we have the pace. So the pace is the speed at which you speak. So you don't want to speak so fast that people can't understand you. Because if you can't understand me, what's the point of me even talking? Why would you even be here in the class if you can't understand what I'm saying? So I'm talking too fast. How many of you actually just understood much of what I just said then? Some of you just have lightning fast ears. That's brilliant. But yeah, so the majority of you obviously didn't understand what I said because I was speaking way too quickly. So we don't want to speak super fast like I just did. And we don't want to talk this slow because our audience will get bored. But anything within those boundaries is usually okay to play with. So the way I would use my pace is I would speak a bit faster for just the sentences that I'm speaking, but I would slow it down if I was listing off important details. So, for example, a public speech from me would probably never exceed these sorts of speeds. So my example is, all right, I've got my shopping list. I've got my car keys, I've got my wallet. I'm ready to go to the shops now and buy some food for us for the week. So you saw there, or you heard there rather, I slowed down when I was listing the things that I had. So my phone, my car keys, my shopping list. So I slow that stuff down so that you can take that detail in and it gives you a chance to process the information. But then once I've listed that, I then speed up a bit to finish off the sentence and say, yep, I'm ready to go to the shops now and buy us some food. That wasn't so fast that you couldn't understand it, and it wasn't so slow that you got bored and just didn't listen. Okay. Harry, do you have a question or a comment?
No, I forgot to lower my hand.
Ah, no worries. Uyen, do you have something you'd like to ask or say?
I forgot like Harry too.
If you remember it, put your hand back up. Okay, now. Okay, so a little saying that I'd like to introduce to you is known as the 6 Ps. There is an adult version with 7 Ps, but I'm not giving you that one today. You get the kid-friendly one. But the 6 Ps are prior planning and practice prevent poor performance. So what do we think that means, guys? Prior planning and practice prevent poor performance. What do we think that means? Susan, what do you think that means?
I think that means that you have to practice to have a good performance in front of people. And if you don't plan your speech and you don't practice well, like you might not perform your performance good.
Very good, Susan. Thank you. Now, so Susan hit the nail on the head perfectly there. So before you go out and perform in front of people, you need to make sure that you have planned your speech and you have practiced your speech. And when I say that, I'm not talking about, writing down 2 or 3 dot points, writing a couple of paragraphs and then reading it 3 times and then, oh, I'm ready. No, I'm talking about you need to plan your speech out exactly how you want it to go, with exactly what you want to say, and then you need to practice it until you can deliver that speech from memory without reading off the paper. That's the sort of practice that we're talking about. Because another saying that I really like, so have you guys heard of the famous boxer Mike Tyson? Well, he has a saying that he likes to use, and I agree with it. I'll write it down here. Okay, so he's
Yeah, I know Mike Tyson. He is a boxer, right?
Yes, he was a boxer back in the 1990s. He was a world champion, absolutely ferocious fighter. But what he means, so obviously because he's a boxer, this saying involves like getting punched in the face because that's what you do in boxing. But what it really means is that everybody's got a plan until something goes wrong. So, so in this case, Mike Tyson's plan might be, I'm going to go in, I'm going to go jab, jab, cross, I'm going to duck his shot, and then I'm going to come back with a hook punch and I'll knock him out. That's my plan. But then the boxing match starts, and as he approaches, he gets punched in the face. He's like, oh gosh, what do I do now? So in the sense of performing in a debate or in the sense of giving a public speech, like anything can happen. So, what would you do if you had a slideshow or a video to play, and as you announce it to be played, there's a problem with the projector and it doesn't work? Or what would you do if something falls down and makes a loud bang right in the middle of your speech and you're thrown off from what you're saying? What are you going to do then? So that's why it's so important to rehearse and plan your speeches and your debates out so much. Because if something goes wrong, even in a debate, what happens if you're mid-sentence and somebody offers up a point of information? Or what do you do if someone on the opposite team rebuts an argument and then you've got to counter rebut and it goes back and forth? So anything can happen and anything can disrupt you from, what you plan to happen. So just make sure that you know what you're doing that well, that nothing can disrupt you. So that's the big thing there. Okay, so I have got one more thing to talk about today. And then it is into the breakout rooms. Yes.
Teacher, I can't see your stare. Oh, I can see it now.
Good. Okay, so
Teacher, what are you doing?
I'm opening up a slide to teach you about rhetorical devices. So,
Yeah. It's a bit interesting, but I like it. And the
good.
colors are brown, my favorite color.
Very good. It is a nice little slide. It is a nice little slide design. Okay, so
Teacher Michael.
what? Yes, Thomas.
My iPad battery is almost out. Can I leave the meeting and charge my iPad?
Yes, if you need to, that's all right. Okay, so a very important part of giving a public speech or participating in a debate is your ability to persuade, or your skill level of persuasion. Now, what persuasion means is trying to convince somebody about an idea that you have or to do something you want them to do by pointing out the positive reasons for doing it. So if I was to walk up to you and say, hey, go and clean your room or I'm going to punch you, that is not persuasion. That is force. That is wrong. That is bad. But if I was to say to you, Susan, would you mind, can you go and clean your room, please? And once you've done that, we can go get some ice cream. We can go to the park and play on the playground. So That's persuasion, because I've asked you to do something and I've pointed out the good things that can come of you doing that. So if you go clean your room, we can go get some ice cream. We can go to the park and play on the playground. So that's persuasion. And so these techniques were originally created for writers. So, writing essays, writing blog posts, news reports, all sorts of things. But they translate really, really well into an orally given speech. And so these techniques, basically, they're little mind hacks almost that allow your audience to understand your point of view easier, therefore increasing the chances that they will believe you, trust in you, and go with you. So I'll talk to you about a couple of them, but I'm going to post a video on all of these into your Zalo group to go with your homework. So the first one is alliteration. And that is the repetition of sounds at the beginning of words. So prime example, oh my goodness, who's writing in Japanese? I cannot understand. It's Thomas. I cannot understand what he said. Yeah. So a great example of alliteration is our 6Ps. Prior planning and practice prevents poor performance. So that p. It doesn't rhyme. So it's not like I'm saying time and climb. It doesn't rhyme. Oh God. Now I'm going to be stuck in a cycle of rhyming. So it doesn't rhyme, but it still has that nice rhythm and flow to it. It's easy to say. It's easy to listen to. It's almost kind of fun. And it's like, yeah. So that's alliteration. Connotation is another good one. And that is where it's basically the use of a word defines the context of the sentence. So let's say that I've got a friend who just lost a ton of weight and is now looking skinny. So I can say that and make it sound like a good thing. I can say, wow, you've lost so much weight. You're so skinny. You look fantastic. Or if I want to put it in a negative connotation, I can say, oh, you've lost so much weight. You're all skin and bones. Oh. So you can make the same thing seem either good or bad, depending on the situation it's used in. So, your friend can get skinny and look really good, or your friend can get skinny and they just look like a bag of bones. So yeah, that's a good one. Evidence is a real important one. So evidence gives you credibility. So, for example, if I'm talking about sending rocket ships up to space, and I'm talking about it, if I was to say to you, like, I'm just making this up for the point of this argument, because I know nothing about space travel. But if I was to say to you, apparently those rocket ships need like 58 million liters of fuel to be able to get off the ground and up into space. Now, if that was just me saying that, you might go, oh, I don't know, that does seem like a lot. Like, I don't know if they really need that much fuel. I don't think I believe that. But if I was to pull out a report from scientists at NASA, and it said, the scientists of NASA discovered, so hang on, the scientists of NASA have discovered that the average amount of fuel a rocket needs to achieve blast off into orbit is 56 million liters. Because I've gone and found that information from, the people at NASA, we can trust them about space travel. You're more likely to believe what I say because I've said, oh, well, the people at NASA have said this. So that's using evidence. It's using information from a trusted source to prove what you're saying is correct. It's very important in public speeches too, because if you're going to be making claims about certain things, or if you're going to be, if you're going to be making claims or making arguments for or against something, you need to be able to prove it. You need to be able to back that up with evidence. And the last one I'll tell you about is repetition. And we use repetition when we want to try and get a point stuck in our audience's head. So prime example is in a lot of ads for new cars. For example, you might get repetition of the word more. So, this car has more boot space, more cabin space, so it's a comfier ride. You've got more power in the engine. You've got more kilometers per liter of fuel, more cup holders, more accessories, more this, more that. All you're going to remember is, oh, more. Yeah, got more this, more that. Yeah, more. And that gets stuck with you. And that can be a great technique for you to use if you are trying to, again, make sure that a point of information you've raised sticks with your audience. Repetition is a great tool. Okay. So we're going to jump into breakout rooms now. I'm just quickly going to post the task that we're going to do. Make sure I send it to everybody. Okay, so I'm going to put you into breakout room shortly. I'd like you guys to select any topic that you would like to talk about for 1 to 2 minutes. I want you to write that speech. So it's a 1 to 2 minute speech. I want you to write it out. You can either write it out in its entirety, or you can just make a list of dot points that you can just read one and then talk about it, read one and then talk about it. Once you've got your speech written, I want you to think about the emotion or the feeling behind your speech. Is it supposed to be a happy speech or a serious one? Funny? Is it supposed to be anger-inducing? And then once you know what the emotion of your speech is, I want you to try and match your body language and vocal modulation with the feeling that you want your speech to impart. So you've seen a lot of examples today of, of how different aspects of body language can change the meaning of something, or it'll tell you what the person's really thinking and really feeling. So yeah, just have a think about it. This is going to be your first time doing it, obviously, so we're not expecting absolute perfection, but just try your best, have a think about it, and let's see what you can come up with. I'm just going to open the breakout rooms now. Okay. So I've put you into some breakout rooms. And I'm going to set that timer for 30 minutes. So I'll open the rooms now. And while you're in there, I'll be preparing your homework task and preparing the resources for it. So start thinking about the topic of your talk and start thinking about how you feel and how you want us to feel about that. And I'll see you guys in 30 minutes. Okay, that's better. Sorry, had some microphone problems. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you did well in your breakout room activities. That's the class for today, and I'll post your homework and some resources for you to, for you to use in your homework group. So have a wonderful week, everybody. I'll see you all next time.
Goodbye, teacher.
Goodbye, teacher. Bye, teacher.
See you, everyone.